At Staples Business Advantage, nothing can top the smarts and instincts of the thousands of experts on our team. While AI excels at
processing data, automating tasks, and providing insights for better decision-making.
And when they're used together, they're far more powerful than either is alone. Whoa.
I've never felt more alive.
Let Staples Business Advantage use today's latest innovations, plus our team's experience to make business easier for you.
Sign up today and save 20%.
Staples Business Advantage.
Business is
human.
This is a Shares for Beginners quick tip. Essential lessons. Questions answered.
Mike Tyson says that every boxer has a plan until they get punched in the face, and everyone is a long-term investor until they get punched in the face. Enrique Abeyta is the editor of Empire Elite Trader, a weekly investment newsletter. In this quick tip, he talks about sticking to a plan, how we wouldn't learn to become a dentist, to work on our family and friends, and how it's your money, man. Take it seriously.
I think there's just some very simple rules that investors need to follow. And I'm going to start with one that's not so much a rule, but it's a way to think about it, which is, what's your goal in investing? A goal most people would say is, well, I'm investing to make money. Well, that means a lot of different things. If you are investing with a 30-year time frame and you want to take your retirement savings and grow it immensely, that's a much different kind of thing than, I've got money that I need to buy a house in 2 years. I want to grow that money a little. The other thing is, the reality is that people don't just invest themselves for money making. If they did, they would make much more rational decisions. People enjoy investing. So I think the most important thing is, whatever you're investing, come up with the framework of what it is you're trying to accomplish, and then create a plan around that framework that fits that framework. And one of my favorite sayings on Wall Street is, plan the trade and trade the plan. It doesn't have to be a trade. It could just be plan your strategy and execute your strategy. But it works better when you say, plan the trade and trade the plan. So
presumably you got different goals. I mean, if you might be just wanting to get a deposit for a house, for example, that's a completely different plan, a completely different time frame than if you, like you say, you're planning for your retirement.
No, exactly right. And like another thing that I say to people, and I'll bring in another concept here, either trade a lot or don't trade at all. The biggest challenge in investing, in my opinion, single biggest challenge, is the following: is people go out, they come up with a plan. Most of those plans are sound. I think there's some core beliefs in investing that I fundamentally don't believe with, but I will say 80% of the stuff that people say to do is sound. They go out and execute that plan, but then something happens and they go against the plan. Mike Tyson said everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And that's really it. And so where I see it with investors is, you either need to embrace high turnover or embrace no turnover. If you are a high turnover trader that has a plan and are trading actively, like you're playing blackjack, playing hand after hand after hand, if you play a lot of hands of blackjack, then you're going to, it's going to work out if you're disciplined. Or you need to take a 10-year view and go out for that view and then ignore it and don't do anything. And again, I think the problem is everyone goes into it saying, I'm a long-term investor, until the first time they get punched in the face and now they're a trader. I guarantee you that won't work. And by the way, it's not individual investors. The vast, vast majority of active managers underperform the indices. It is crazy to me how many of them underperform. And it's for this very reason, is they say, oh, we're long-term investors. Oh, but now we're risk managing, which in this case is taking my plan and throwing it away because the market traded against me for a month, something like that. We're humans at the end of the day.
Yeah, not all of us have got a customato looking after us as well.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with training.
Well, it is. It's the training, isn't it? And getting the right advice. And really, I'd like to come back to this point here, though, that you're saying people should be trading a lot or not at all. But some people go in and start trading a lot. I mean, a lot of people this year have come on to Robinhood, and I think it's a good time to be in there doing that, but they're going to get punched in the face as well.
And by the way, I wasn't saying, in general, I would say the vast majority of people should just not trade at all. Let me be clear. I wasn't recommending one over the other. I was just saying, if you're going to do this, you must choose one of those. Look, I think that trading, I always use this example. I use the example of dentistry. I'll meet someone and I'm like, you're a smart guy. You've done a lot of great things. You've got a good education, whatever, it doesn't matter. You and I both could go read books about dentistry and figure it out. I don't think it's not rocket science, literally. We could figure it out, and we probably could figure out how to do dentistry on our family and friends. Yet we don't do that, right? What we do is we rely on people who have decades of experience. Yet, when it comes to investing, this is crazy to me. You'll have professionals that have spent 20 years. I've seen this over and over. You'll have someone doctors will go. And if you went to a successful doctor who's got a big practice, made lots of money, and you say, Dr. Johnson, I want to form a medical practice. I want to partner with you. He will grill you to 20 ways to Sunday. He'll be like, what's your compensation structure? How are you doing your insurance? Blah, blah, blah. You call Dr. Johnson up and say, hey, I got this stock. It's Chinese internet. If every person in China bought one of these, the thing's a $1 billion company. He goes, how many shares? Right? It's because it lacks the friction. You can just make the transaction. But that's psychology, right? And that's what you have to break. And so it's like anything in life. And it's your money, man. Like, take it seriously. But people don't, because when I can go in and I'm going to go on a little tirade about something else, which is about dopamine and, human psychology. Ultimately, we're driven so much by chemical reactions. And the reality is, when I buy a stock and it goes up 10%, I get a little hit. It's like I just did a shot. It's like I just saw something sexy. It's like I just took a toke of a cigarette or did a little bit of a drug. That's awesome. And then I want to do it again, and I want to do it again and again. And that's what gets in the way of the plan. Is, it can be very sexy. It's a drug addiction, man. Which, by the way, it's fine. Children are a drug addiction. They produce tremendous dopamine hits, your entire lives, and a lot of, anger occasionally. But you just have to learn how to manage that and respect your own psychology and biology when investing, which is another big theme in my letter.
And having a process, that's something to help you deal with the psychology that's involved, because you've really got to push those thoughts aside. One of the guests I've got coming up on the podcast is a sports psychologist, and his mantra is lather, rinse, repeat. And you see that with great sports people as they get on the field and into their field of endeavour. They just do the same thing over and over again. They're not thinking about anything else except the process.
Well, I think it's those two. If I were to boil it down, it is those two: is have a plan, a well thought out plan, and then control your psychology, which, by the way, is why I'm saying not trading at all is a much easier way to control your psychology than trading a lot. Because not trading at all, taking some great positions, throwing them in a box, and losing the password to your account is a lot easier to do than making 20 decisions. Or more importantly, it's not about making 10 decisions a day. It's about making 100 decisions that you don't make. Right? That's actually what it is. I was on Twitter today, and markets had a nice little run here. I say to people, the number one thing that people mess up in risk management most often is sell high. Sell high is hard. Buy low is easier than sell high. But you know what's really hard? When you didn't sell high and then you try to buy low. That's impossible, right? That's where you get sell low, right? So, it is those two things. Control your psychology and have a plan. But that's also, like I said, I'm just going to repeat it. That's why I think don't trade at all is by far the best plan for the vast majority of investors. Because if you're not willing to do the work, guess what? You're not going to get the return. Period. End of story.
If you found this podcast helpful, please tell a friend, especially if it's someone who needs to start thinking about investing for their future. You'll be helping them and helping me to keep this show on the road.
Shares for Beginners is for information and educational purposes only. It isn't financial advice, and you shouldn't buy or sell any investments based on what you've heard here. Any opinion or commentary is the view of the speaker only, not Shares for Beginners. This podcast doesn't replace professional advice regarding your personal financial needs, circumstances, or current situation.
And thank you for listening to my podcast.
At Staples Business Advantage, nothing can top the smarts and instincts of the thousands of experts on our team. while AI excels at.
processing data, automating tasks, and providing insights for better decision-making.
And when they're used together,
They are far more powerful than either is alone. Whoa. I've never felt more alive.
Let Staples Business Advantage use today's latest innovations, plus our team's experience to make business easier for you.
Sign up today and save 20%.
Staples Business Advantage.
Business is
Human.